Hello everyone. This session is all about Azure Migrate. So, with the help of Azure Migrate, how we can do a migration from on-premises Hyper-V environment to Azure. So, in this migration, we will be discussing about failover, failback, and cleanup of your Azure Migrate. So, in the failover, where we are going to discuss about doing failover from on-premises to Azure file back in a sense from Azure to on-premises. So once we done with these two, we do go for a cleanup in Azure Migrate, where we do a cleanup in our a cleanup of our on-premises environment. Okay. So prior to this, I would just want to take you to my environment where you can see where I am in. This is my Hyper-V, and I have an app server, and I have a DB server, and I have an Ubuntu, which these three are running. And you could see Azure Migrate appliance. Azure Migrate appliance is an appliance where I need to install and then configure. Let me open this. You see here, right? This is just a appliance. In discovery phase, you want to download and start discovering this one. If you want, I can make another one video and then to show you to how to install this appliance in Hyper-V, and how we can link our this appliance to our Azure, and how the credential. This credential is really important because it should have a admin privilege to discover the Hyper-V. This is my Hyper-V VM, and it is you see the status as green checked, and it discovered, and I have done the discovery. So this is a web. You could see the green check. Discovery was initiated. So once this discovery is done, you have to go to Azure. I'm just dealing with the second part, basically. The preparation steps I just ignored here because that took a long time, close to 1 hour for discovery. One more thing, you want to be really difference get a difference between a lab environment and a production environment is totally different. You want to prepare a landing zone for your migrated servers. Landing zone, in a sense, you want to create a resource group of your target. You want to create a storage account, and you want to create a virtual network. If you want, you can create a dedicated virtual network for the target servers, and if you want, you can go for a specific subnet. But this is a lab environment. I just created everything on the fly. In a sense, I didn't give much importance for landing zones. But in on premises, you want to be on premises, in a sense, in a production environment where real servers and then hosting happening. You should be very very careful. Okay. So these are all my discovered servers. So what are the servers are discovered? Let me take you through CentOS. Why I haven't included CentOS, in a sense, when we are doing a migration from on premises to Azure, CentOS image is involved in costing. So that's the reason, right? I ignored CentOS, and then for reference you have Ubuntu, Linux flavor. So basically, right, a DB server. This is I installed a MySQL, and then app server just running an IaaS service, and my Azure Migrate appliance by default it will be discovered in the Azure Migrate. So Ubuntu is a standalone Linux machine where I have installed. You couldn't see the IP address of this Ubuntu. That's not a problem. Where we can get the operating system later. Okay. So what next? Once the discovery is done, so let's check the assessment. I created an assessment as well. Assessment is nothing but a kind of assessing your on-premises server. Okay. There is a property field which we need to be very careful while preparing the assessment. You want to choose a target location and type of a reserved capacity which you want. This is a reserved capacity where you buy with Microsoft Azure, where a lot of cost involved. If you go for 3 years reservation, 1 year's reservation, your cost will come down. You just go and check for the hybrid benefits. You will come to know more about the reserved instance. And the sizing performance based one. A quick tip here. We choose mostly performance based in the on premises because let's take an SQL server where we are any version of SQL server. Okay, we are planning to do a migration from on premises to Azure. Okay, we really don't know what is the utilization of a server, because if you take any OLTP based one, and at month end means second of your month, it will, like example that your payroll system, okay, where your OLTP database is integrated backend, and you could see there is a less load on the second half of the month, like after 15th, you could expect the low level of operations, but at beginning of the month and end of the month, especially when the pay slip is generated, and many of the users can log into the system and then start querying about the pay slip. Okay, so after 20 to starting of 10 means the 20 of a month, and then till first to 10 of the month, the server could be really busy, depend upon the organization. Okay, that time, right, your performance will be more on the server. When it comes to the remaining times, you could see, expect a less amount of workload. So in that scenario, how you can do a calculation, that is really based upon your performance. You want to choose performance based, or if you know the environment really well and you choose a target system with Azure. Okay, if you want to go for a DS series or DS, D4S, or whatever it may be, any D series or E series system you want to really go, then up to you. You can choose the on premises, and then you don't want any history of this one, and then you can choose the VM series, sizing, mostly sizing. Okay, accordingly. Most probably, right, we choose a week of performance. A week of performance will help you more to plot the performance detail. Okay, and utilization, it's up to you which percentage you want to choose, and I have chosen all type of series of the system. Okay, and comfort factor, this is an important key point in Azure. Okay, you just go through your reference for comfort factor. There is different type of range. We have 1.1x, 1.2x, each having a value. Okay, if you have 4 core CPU and your utilization is just 2 core, and what is the recommendation from Azure, you can get the comfort factor. Okay, and you just go with the pricing offering you, usually, whether you are in a sponsorship or enterprise agreement or pay as you go, you just choose, and where you want to pay, like a dollar or euro or whatever it may be. And if you have a license, just choose yes or no, then go for a submit. Okay, then what is the use of this one? When you done with your assessment, if you go to Azure readiness, you could see some recommendation from Azure. Okay, this is really matters for some area. No, no, okay, Azure Migrate. So these are the suggested tool which we can use for we can use for this migration. Azure Migrate is a native tool from Azure. It is recommended from Azure for most of the servers, but you do have a third party vendors like I'll show you in a minute who are all they. You can use those services to do a migration. Okay, when it comes to this app and DB, this is the sizing which we got from Azure. And when it comes to my CentOS, I'm just going for a basic system. Okay, so cost detail, obviously, because we have chosen the cost, and it will show you for this one, this system cost. Okay, so now the second thing is key groups. Okay, assessment will consist of a group. So if you click on the groups, the main area is you could give some importance about agents, dependency agents. Okay, this is a agent where you need to install on the system, on your on premises guest OS, which you are going to migrate from, in this case, Hyper-V to Azure. When we start installing this one, it will take some 15 to 20 minutes to gather the required data. Okay, it will be collecting, what type of ports are open, what type of services are running. Basically, right, it will be collecting your dependencies. Okay, let me take you to a live scenario where creating a dependency map. Okay, we need to configure awesome workshop, sorry, OMS workshop. workshop 1. So which location you I'm going to choose West Europe. I'm just configured. Okay, this is a Windows 24 agent. I'm going to copy that one, and then I'm going to open in my app server. Okay, let's copy this one. Let's see. I'm saving this file. What next? So once it is done, we need to download the agents. Oh, sorry. Save. I'm opening the folder. First, we need to install the MMA setup. So you need to choose connect to the agent of Azure Log Analytics. So here is a place work ID. Yeah, I have my work ID here. Space not configured. What is this? Okay, this is copy paste is not allowing here. Let me open. Okay, I'll come back in a minute. So okay, let's continue. I have my workspace ID and workspace key got created. Just copy pasted this one. Let's go for next. Let's validate. Okay, I don't want to do for any upgrade updates. Okay, we'll install. Okay, this installation, right? You want to check the compliance with your on-premises, because most of the organization, they might allow, they might not allow, and the dependency is not a showstopper for this Azure Migrate. Right? If you want to know the dependency for a server, let's say you are doing for a just a minute. Okay, okay, let's go for it. It's installation. Okay, most of the organization, they have already predefined ports opened, and then firewall predefined ports which are blocked from a server. Okay, so this dependency doesn't matter, but Azure recommend it's the best practice. Let me go for a restart of the system. Okay, okay, my app server is getting restarted now. Okay, let it restart. In meantime, right, this discovery, it will take 10 to 15 minutes. Sometime it will go for 20 minutes. Let's go for other area. We'll come back here later. Okay, once my group created, assessment created, discovered the servers. I'm repeating, in the reverse direction. Okay, first is discovery done, then we need to create a assessment. Then in assessment, you want to create a group. So then if you go and check for assessment, your assessment is done. So your group is done. And one more thing, a very important place is your appliance. So this is a Hyper-V machine. Sorry, this is my guest voice. This is my Hyper-V which I have discovered here. If you want to sync up with your on-premises with your Azure, you can do a refresh. In this case, no, I'm not going to do that. But if you feel that you are seeing some out of sync, then you can go ahead and then do that. So discovery phase is done. I told you, right, we do have other third-party tools where we can do use for this migration. So here, right, it is totally depend upon license and pricing. You want to talk to the certain third-party vendor which you are going to work. I worked with here. I don't find the partner. Okay, So you just have to work with the licensing part and then get it discovered. Okay, now we are going for migration tool. So let's go for discovery. This is a part where you need to install the ASR, Azure Site Recovery exe. Okay, let's concentrate one more point here. Okay, Azure Migrate, right, is especially used for a one-time migration. Migration in a sense, you defined a good candidate in on-premises, and then you have done all the preliminary check, like license, software upgrades, everything you validated, and then the candidate is really good to do a migration now. So on that case, right, you just go with Azure Migrate and then choose the server and then do the migration. Tuck tuck. That's all. But the on Azure, the backend, the backend resource which is going to support this migration is Azure Site Recovery. So when you open the Azure Site Recovery, okay, let me go for a home and then go for Azure Recovery Service Vault. Here is the project, right? This project AZ Migration Project 1. Okay, this is my project actually. Okay, you see here AZ Migration Project 1. This is a project which I have created in Azure. When I start creating this one, there is a vault automatically created in the ASR. Okay, so if you go for ASR and then you check the site recovery infrastructure, so if you go to Hyper-V, you could see my Hyper-V server. Okay, okay, we'll go for the Hyper-V host. See here, you have all the details here. So what is the version and then server ID, heartbeat, everything will be retained here. Okay, that's what I'm basically trying to say is, your Azure Site Recovery Vault is a backbone of Azure Migrate. In Azure Site Recovery, sorry, ASR, what you will do, you can do for replication. Majorly, you can go for replication, and it is having other purpose as well. But Azure Migrate is you can use for migrating the servers. That's a key thing. Okay, or replicate. Okay, now we have the candidates. Now we can plan for replication. Okay, I'm going to choose Hyper-V. Okay, my target, I'm going with my assessment. Okay, I'm going to select group 4, where we have my app and DB. Okay, so I'm choosing my app and DB servers first. Okay, so here is a landing zone. I just talked sometimes I go for a landing zone. Here is a landing zone. You want to do a proper sizing of your landing zone, or else your migration will end up in a then on the wrong resource hands. Okay, so you want to choose a storage account which you have created, and then this is my target. Basically, right, my target is west to west, source is east to west. Okay, the subnet is default. If you want, you can choose the redundancy, like availability. Okay, click next. So this is my recommendation which was given by Azure. Okay, this is my Azure VM name, and then it's having one core, and then this is a recommendation, and this is my OS. So it just choose, and then this is my OS disk. Click next. So these are all the disk. Okay, before moving to here, you have to concentrate on Azure supportable OS. Okay, so if you go for this server software support page, you could find what are the platforms, what are the models still Azure supports. Okay, with talk servers 2013 are supported, AX 2012 R3 supported. You could see these are all okay. Exchange 2013 is supported, and you could see that what are all the servers which still supports by Azure to support the migration. Okay, for 2008 R2 version and 2000, you have to install the hotfix. Okay, these are all the basic recommendation. When it comes to Linux flavors, you have to be in this version. My CentOS is 8.x, so server is CentOS 8.x, and it is not a problem to install. And still 6.3 you want to do this kind of installation, but I'm using a latest one, so no need to do that. So what are the Debians supported? What is the Red Hat Linux is supported? If it is a 5.x, it will not be supported by Azure Migrate. So one first 5.x you want to upgrade to 6 or 7 or 8 in your on premises, then you plan for this upgrade. Okay, so this is the thing, and I would like to okay, so that's all I want to check for this one. If your on-premise system is connected with a SAN storage, and you have what type of, okay, yeah, here it is, Hyper-V migration support. In this section you could able to get a few details about the disk size, up to 2 TB of OS drive and 8 TB of your data disk. If your data disk is 10 TB, 10 TB, nobody, it's not a recommended size to use, but in some cases, like your big data, or not big data, your old AP database, which is you're requesting 10 TB, 12 TB, 13 TB, SAN storage is connected in backend. So those are all not supported. Okay, you want to know what are the things are supported, and then okay, enough as mounted volumes on the VMs won't be replicated. So you want to check these things before you go for a migration, especially on a production environment. You have to be very very careful in the sizings. Okay, so here this is my OS, and then you want to go for a tag, no need. I'm just starting my replication. Okay, let me, in meantime, right, I'm going to my own premises and check for app server is running. Okay, let okay, now we go for a overview, and then we check for the replicated machines. Okay, my DB is kicked off. Let's go for Azure Migrate, sorry, ASR. If we click on the replicated item, you could see here, right, my app and DB started. Okay, so here you could see some data center diagram. Maybe it takes some time to configure the virtual machine resource. Okay, so this we can discuss sometimes later. I'll tell you what is the meaning for this. Okay, so this I'm still in my recovery service world. Go for a replicated item. The key area is you want to check for an active location. Here is my Hyper-V site, on premises is my uh, active site. Okay, when we do a failover from on premises to Azure, this will be changed to Azure. So you want to be make a note of this one. So my app server is just started syncing. You could see the diagram is started populating. Okay, the Hyper-V machine is replicating to Azure. Okay, so it is in zero synchronized. Okay, so if you go to my Azure Migrate, yeah, it has started syncing. Okay, my infrastructure servers before Hyper-V, yeah. So let it synchronize, and then it is 0% synchronized. Let's go and check for the um, group whether we found the dependencies. Okay, okay, super. Okay, my app server dependency is installed, and then it's fully fetched with Azure. Okay, let's click on view dependencies. So here is the one I showed you, right? I told you, right, the dependencies. So here is the place where I could see the dependencies. There are 17 processes running on this app server. Let's open this one, and then we go for load server map. Okay, so this is my on-premises system. It is having the IP address range dot 5, and OMS agent version. This is a major thing, and you could see what all the ports are opened. The ports basically mostly deals with 443, my my web service port, and 80 HTTP port, 137 and 153. What is the main use of this port? It is my DNS port. Sorry, 53 is a DNS port, and 137. What is it is talking about? 140. 40 is my DHCP. I think that's the thing it is talking to, that port 123. I want to check. Okay, it's my my internal routing. Okay, that's all. This is how your dependencies are mapped. Okay, so Linux installation is pretty straightforward. You go to the GitHub repository and then find how to install in the the Linux based, and then Windows is again. Again, right, the dependency agent is totally up to you if you want to install or not. Okay, let's go and check for the status of the migration. Replicated machine, it says okay, it is 0% synchronized. I'll come back meantime, let it synchronize. Okay, let's continue. Let's do a refresh here. Yeah, my DB server is protected, and app server is waiting for first recovery point. Let's check the warning. It is no initial replication need to be started. This is because of we restarted the server, right? And once they restarted, I immediately started the migration. That's the problem. That's it. Then if that is the case, we can delete, stop the replication, and then we can recreate. We'll come back this one later. First, we'll go with the DB server, which is protected. Okay. Uh, Here is the one major thing you want to be noted down is compute and networks. So here, right, in Azure Migrate, as I told on the initial session itself, Azure Migrate means it's a planned migration activity. Okay, if you use a managed disk, while in your target, this Microsoft Azure as a managed disk, you cannot go back to on premises. Like you are doing a failover from on premises to Azure. Okay, and you enabled the disk type as managed disk. Okay, use of the disk as managed disk. And if some reasons, due to some reasons, 99 point, I haven't faced any scenarios like that, but if you want to roll back from Microsoft Azure to on premises, you cannot do you, it will not allow you, because you use managed disk. You can get a warning also here. So how you can change this? Okay, click on edit. Let's check whether it is applying, it is allowing us to do or not. Click no. Okay, and save. Let's see whether Azure is allowing us or not. This is not a recommended way, because as I told you, you want to choose the right candidate, the good candidate. Here the term candidate called the servers who are all healthy to do a migration from on premises to Azure. You can do that one, but I'm saying this is also one of the way you have, because in this session we are going to do a failover, failback, and cleanup. So I want to make ready of the system. That's the thing. Let's check. My deployment is in progress. Okay, let's go to the TV server and check for the computer network. So used managed disk is no. Okay, let's do a let's go forward. Okay, tips and tricks. Okay, test migration is one of the recommended practice from Microsoft Azure. Okay, uh, this is must when you are doing for a critical server. Okay, your migration get delay because of now you want to do a test migration and you want to do a cleanup, then you want to do a migration. But doing a test migration really is a best practice, and then it's a good practice because you can do a validation of your server. Okay, click on test migration, and you want to choose the target network VG. Okay, VNet, which I'm going to do. So this is my VNet. I'm going to do a migration. Let's wait for some time. Okay, my test migration kicked off. So we want to wait for sometimes let to come. Okay, my app server is also got protected. Initially, right, you want to give some times for this. An app server, right? Let's change the property and then we go for a direct migration instead of test failover. Yeah, clicking save. Let's check the computer network. Okay, manage discuss. No, let's go for the server and then initiating test failover. Let's check in. This is my ASR. Let's do a refresh. Here is also you could see the same status. Okay, so in app, I'm going to do a direct failover. I'm going to do a direct, um, you know, okay. I'm going to do a shutdown of my on-premises server. What is the use of this one? When you choose S, it will do a final sync up. Then it will shut down the system to avoid inconsistency of data. Okay, so click shut down and migrate. Okay, so now I'm going to do a migration from on-premises to my Azure. Okay, let's go to the server migration, do a refresh. Okay, planned failover is initiated. Okay, let's click on the status. Okay, this is it will take some time to do this one, to complete all the necessary steps. Okay, it has to go to one by one the stage. Okay, I'll come back again. I'll come back after this. So let's continue and then see the status are successful. All four stages are done. Let's go for migrations. Okay. So my DB server is ready and test failover is done. Let's check on my virtual machine status. Okay. Let's check in Azure Migrate. Sorry, ASR. It's also good. Okay. Do a refresh. See here, my DB server iPhone test is created. Let's take the IP address and then try to connect. It is 10.1.05. Okay. Okay, before that, I already created a jump VM on West US region. Let me connect to the bastion. I believe I have. Yes, I have.